politics as usual. Welcome to the Politics as Usual. It's your boy Marz, and today we're having a very brief episode talking about the outcome of the Derrick Chauvin trial. And we've been monitoring it here. My co-host Jay is not with me today, but we just wanted to talk about the outcome and what this potentially means for the future of this country, and not only the future of this country, but for law enforcement, for Black Lives Matter, and really just for justice overall. I'll be the first to admit that I was very, very happy with the outcome of this trial. I believe the prosecution did a bang-up job, a fantastic job of proving what this was, what all of our eyes saw, and that this was a murder. It was a murder. It wasn't a arrest. It wasn't a situation where somebody was not contained, where someone was not in control. The only person that was out of control appears to be disgraced officer Derrick Chauvin and the other officers who allowed George Floyd to die. And we have seen this happen time and time again. And with qualified immunity, we've seen officers get off time and time again. And my personal stance is that I'm not anti-policing, nor am I anti-police, but I am anti-corruption. I am anti-officers becoming the judge, jury, and executioner at the scene. And that's what we saw here. And we've seen it time and time again. It goes on every day. And it seems that officers tend to use lethal force against people of color on a regular basis. And you'll have people that come out with statistics and say, oh, well, more white people are shot than Black people, statistically, forgetting that we're less than 15% of the population of this country. So it was very comforting in one way to see that justice actually prevailed for once, but it's also very sad that we had to have all of this. We had to have multiple witnesses, multiple camera angles, and we still were unsure that we were going to get justice. So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here as a country? And when I say as a people, I'm not referring specifically to people of color. I'm talking about as a country, where do we go from here? I think the first step is continued pressure. There's 3 other officers that are going to be going on trials shortly, and I expect nothing less than the same type of justice that we saw, because I believe all of the officers at the scene were as guilty as Derrick Chauvin. He may be the one that put the knee on George Floyd's neck, but they were all peace officers. They all had a duty to make sure that he survived this arrest. And it was a clear dereliction of duty, clear. So it's just very interesting, and I hope that we get some peace. I hope the family of George Floyd gets some peace. I hope the people all over the world that's been traumatized by this horrific, horrific murder, because that's what it was, find some peace. But by no means does this mean the fight is over. By no means does it mean that the country is transformed into a place where justice uh, is the norm instead of the exception. And it certainly has been the exception. So that was just a brief episode, just my thoughts of what I feel we can do as a people. And when I mean as a people, once again, I'm referring to Americans to transform this country to everything that it can be. This country has the framework to be the greatest country in the world. But until the systemic systems that have been put into place to keep inequality, to keep equality away, until that system has been recognized, acknowledged, and removed and uprooted, we've got work to do. So that's just been a brief episode of just my opinion, just my thoughts. I was in tears when I saw the verdict, and I honestly said, we got more work to do. We have way more work to do before we can get this country to where it should be. But it was a step in the right direction. So thank you all to the jury. Thank you so much for seeing the humanity and not letting the prosecution paint George Floyd as anything other than what he was. And that was a victim of murder. A victim of murder. Having a drug problem is not a death sentence, it's a sickness. So if we're going to treat people that are addicted to Oxycontin as victims, we need to treat people addicted to all types of drugs as victims and people who have an illness, and normalize that just because you may have broken a law, the sentence is not death. It is not death in all cases. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. It's just been a very brief episode of Politics as Usual, where you can get politics from A to Z. And we'll be back. Jay will be back soon for our next episode. But please like, subscribe, share, and thank you so much.